Hello everybody, this is Mickey here. Today I'm going to be showing you the main features of the interactive duct designer. And in order to do that, I'm just going to show you the project that we created beforehand. This is a standard Revit template project. You'll see here that the data key is imported from Revit with the Flux plugin, and you can find more on Flux on this web page right here, which is you have to log in first, obviously. And this is here in my project. I've got this 3D model. And initially, to get the data that we needed for our project, which is 2D data, then we needed to export not export the data, but restructure the data so that we have a 2D component. And right now, we're using the flow for that in Flux, but it's not working that great. And what we have this, and then we have to just get the rest of the data here, which you'll see here, this viewport of a 2D data set that we can convert with our D3 component. Our D3 component works in the, actually I'm going to go through this first. This is our login page. And when you press this login button, we'll redirect through Flux, making sure that security is on their side. And then we'll press continue here. All right, yes. And then what I'm going to do, since I'm logged into Flux now via their API, now I can go pick up this project that I was showing you, and we can go to import. We can select the cell that is the 2D data that I was telling you about that we went through the flow to get, and then we can select the level. Then you'll see here the level, and actually when we click one of those uh, rooms in itself, we can actually get in here. We can specify the name. Let's call this Mickey's Kitchen. And we'll specify a ventilation flow rate. And it is a kitchen, so we'll say at least 60 liters per second. And then, oops, well, we made a problem. We haven't created a main duct yet. So we're going to have to go out and do that. And that we do by shift clicking on something. And then you'll see here we place the main duct. And this is a proof of concept. Remember that. This main duct remains the same size no matter how we zoom. So let's try to go in here again. Say Mickey's Kitchen. Say 60 liters per second. And then we can choose that main duct. You'll see it right here. So we populate that list for the amount of main ducts that we create. And we can just keep creating those. Let's press save. So now we get a visual feedback that this is actually filled out. So we can go ahead and do that for all of the rooms. And I'm just going to call them something generic like 1, and then put 30 liters per second. Choose that same main duct, say save. And again, just put something in, save, and so on. And I'm not going to do any more of that because I'd rather want to show you that we can in fact change the level. And then we go to level 2 of the building, level 1 of the building. So the ground plan first and then level 1. And then we can go in here, we can actually do the same thing again. And specify flow rate. And then you see here the main duct is not specified, and we'll have to do that for the near future. But we can do that, and that we'll do by connecting the vertical shafts, and then we can get the main ducts on both plans. So I'm going to go now to the result part, which is one of the most important parts. And we can go back to this, and you can see that it's still all drawn. The only thing is when we refresh the page, we don't get this, so we haven't saved the result yet. So that's still a feature that needs to be implemented. So for instance here, we're going to use a formula. This formula is for velocity, airflow, and then you can get like a minimum diameter of the duct. So since this is a main duct, let's say that it's between 6 and 8, let's say 7, and this is in meters per second, and we say calculate. So now from that, we have our dimension on the duct in meters. So in the near future, this export tab will be consistent of the opportunity to export the data that you just created into an data key that you see in here from Flux. So we can actually create a data key on this side over here. And then we can export the data to that, and then we can link that back to the Revit model. And in that way, we will actually be able to keep a consistent link in between the models. So we have avoided this weird conversion route trip that you normally have with IFC models. So, well, it's been a pleasure to show you this today. I'm just going to go ahead and log out so you can see that that works as well. And I hope that I answered any question that you might have about this application. Bye.